Welcome to Behind the Biz, conversations with artists and entertainment. I'm your host, Megan Mason. Please subscribe here on YouTube and don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Now, on to the show.
Hello! Everybody that is going to be watching this, I'm super excited, probably really excited, to introduce to you Connie Grayson Criswell, who is a fantastic wig maker, contact lens technician in Los Angeles. Going through your credits is really fun.
Oh, and that's so bad about updating that. I only update my credits probably about every 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot that's just not on there.
Well, what is on there is super cool. For those tuning in, because some people will be watching and some will listen on the podcast. Right. So just to name off a few of your credits and not embarrass you at all, but they're awesome. She currently is a wig maker at Legacy Effects, which is an amazing studio in Los Angeles that pretty much has their hands in, I think, most of mainstream stuff that people don't even realize they're watching. Commercials and
we do commercials, we do makeup, we do animatronics, we do puppets, we do suit work, we do 3D printing, we do digital design. I mean, it's a all-encompassing building of creativity.
It is an awesome space.
It's an incredible place to work, and I'm so honored, and it's such a pleasure to work there every day because I'm challenged every single day. And you got to keep those challenges going. It keeps you on your game. Right. And the deadlines. It just I get to the point. I'm at the point where I'm always nervous, but I always say that that's a good thing because that means I really care about what I'm doing. And this place has been the studio that has challenged me more than anything. I mean, we get some crazy things that come in there. And then we also get the most magnificent things that we're just like, oh my God, I'm pinching myself. I'm working on something cool, So I have so many different great opportunities, and it's such a wonderful scale of things to do. And then when I don't have work there, if it slows down, then my other job is as a on-set contact lens tech.
Which you've done a lot of really great films doing that. So
I kind of stopped now because I'm the supervisor at Legacy. So now I'm not really doing lenses unless I really need to. So I'm full-time there.
Because I want to touch on the contact lens part of what you do, because a lot of people don't even realize that they're looking at contact lenses when they're watching special effects or just TV and film. But some of your other credits, Chronicles of Narnia and the Avengers and the Mandelorian and Stan Winston's studio and Jim Henson's studio, and just all of these really amazing, almost iconic, definitely iconic.
Oh, definitely. I have worked everywhere there is to work, I think. Most of the studios in town. And it's
right.
I was going to say, once you get into the pool, then you kind of get to know everybody, and everybody knows everybody, and everyone refers jobs to everybody, and it's like a small town to a certain degree. But so you have to be accommodating, you have to be friendly, you have to be able to get along with other people. If you don't get along as a team member, you're not going to work that much, or you're going to be working on your own at home. So, all of these studios have this group effort and team effort, and you have to have a good attitude, I'm telling you.
I remember Mr. Westmore, Marvin, when I was in school, he wasn't there all of the time in class. We had different teachers, but he would come in every once in a while. And the one thing that he said that has always stuck with me, so this was 2002, I think, so, do the math, is he said, I don't care how good you are. He said, if you are an a-hole, I am not hiring you, because I will find somebody that is decent at what they do, and I will show them what I want them to do, because I'm about to spend 18 hours a day with this person. And it really stuck with me. And after working, in the industry, it is absolutely a truth.
Oh, absolutely. It's your friends that are going to give you the jobs. So you have to get along with people. And if you act like a prima donna, or if you act incredibly selfish, no one's going to want to work with you.
No. And these are some really cool films and stuff that you've done. Of course, Mandalorian is like one of the big giant most recent ones, doing hair and wigs and effects, punching hair. And did you punch hair on that one?
Yeah, I haven't done any wigs for it. I work for Legacy does the creature effects.
The creature effects.
I worked on the baby, and I worked on Quill, which both of those two for season 1. I only had the 2 characters, and then season 2, there was a team of 5 of us that worked on the Bantha, the big hairy beast. We worked on that, and then I worked on. Got a brain fog right now. My boss was this character, that the green character in the very first episode of season 2. He had the single eye.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Gor Koresh is his character's name. Yes. So I worked on Gor Koresh and the baby. Again, we have a few. We have baby, and you have walking baby, and you have different ones. And then what else did I work on?
How was that, seeing the baby on your desk? So cute.
I know. It's just that you almost cry. I mean, literally, when it lands on my desk every time and I have to touch it up, I almost have tears going down my face because it's so sweet. It really.
The eyes are so big and like just. And then you can see all of the little hairs and stuff that are on the top, and that is.
Oh my gosh!
Part of your work.
And it is. That's my work. I do all those little white hairs, and it's. I have to use magnifiers because the hair I'm using is so fine, and it's. And then so I basically do like from the back of the head all the way up to the front, and along the ears, and then also on the back of the ears, which I don't know if anyone really even sees it, but I do. And then I cut it down, and then I curl it, so it has just a little bit of a bend.
What hair are you using on that?
I'm using mohair on that.
Oh man. Yeah. I like the magnifiers that you have. I bought some.
And those are good, right?
I was like, if she's doing this teeny tiny hair using these magnifiers, I need whatever that is for my own life and my students.
Right. And I'm older than you, so I'm 54. So with being 54, trust me, those things, once you hit your 40s, your eyesight just goes downhill. Oh, just wait. Just wait. Oh, wait. It's going to happen.
It's already happening.
Yeah, I was going to say, you ask anyone. And I work for an eye doctor, and Dr. Sumner told me that when I turned 40, she's like, yep, it's going downhill. Sorry. It happens to everybody. So as you get older, you want to take the vitamin lutein. It'll help. Right?
Noted.
Lutein.
So I want to back up a little bit because you were born in San Diego.
Yeah. And raised.
Fabulous in itself.
When you're raised in a place like that, you think that everybody gets to be raised in a place. At least I always thought, like, oh wow, I mean, it's not that big a deal. And then you leave it, and then you realize, oh no, I really want to go back. I miss it, but I don't get to go home very often. So.
Oh man, it's whenever you were in San Diego, I know you worked a bit there, but when you were young Connie, little Connie, is this the path that you saw for yourself? Did you know this was an option, or what did you want to be when you grew up?
I had so many different dreams. I wanted to, of course, when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, I wanted to be an Egyptologist and just study the tombs and go into the tombs and do that sort of thing. I thought I would probably have something to do with animals because I am such an animal person, or animal, fish, all types of creatures. I love them. And at one point when I was going through my wig making training at the Old Globe Theater, I had a part-time job at the San Diego Zoo. And my dad was a zookeeper back in the 60s. He is actually, I think he was like one of the original zookeepers. And so when I worked at the Old Globe, I would work part-time at the zoo during the holidays. And then the other half of the year the other part-time of the year, I would work as a teacher's aide. And then I'd go to the Old Globe Theater like at 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'd get my wig making training. I'm kind of going ahead of myself here, aren't
Yeah, but that's so cool. Like, you worked at the zoo.
I did. I loved it. And so there was a point when I was going through my wig making training where I thought, am I going to go to work at the zoo, or am I going to work doing this hair thing? What am I doing? And I kind of had to make a decision. And it was hard because I thought, if I do this hair thing, I'm going to be, I'm going to be in theaters, but it could bring all kinds of unusual opportunities. Who knows? Or I can stay working at the animals, and work at the zoo. So I just decided to go with the different opportunities. And I'm sure the zoo would have done the same thing, but it's just a different avenue.
I mean, you did get to create animals like the Revenant.
I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
Looking at those pictures, I'm like, that looks like a real horse. That is real hair.
We did a horse, we did a donkey, and I love those kinds of projects. Oh, it's such a thrill whenever they say, oh, we're going to do this, horse or something like that. And then when you find out it's for a really great film, you're just like, wow, it's just icing on the cake.
So when do you find out, like, I know we're jumping all over the place. That's fine, timeline wise. So for that project, that Appaloosa horse, that he climbs inside of, there's a really great picture. I think I shared it on Instagram. I'll share it again because it's really neat. But do you know that that's what you're making that for when you first get the project?
Yeah. And then I didn't really come into it because the hairs always last.
Yeah.
So, has to go through the sculpture and the design, the sculptures, and, the molding and the whole process of everything that we have at the studio. And then finally it comes to hair and fabrication. So fabrication started with using NFT, National Fiber Technologies, and draped it. And then we ended up making a horse's mane, which was, I believe it was human hair and yak hair. And yeah, it was almost like making like a huge weft.
Yeah.
Yes. Almost like that, but include making it out of horsehair and human hair. It was interesting. And same thing with the tail. And then the front of the face is flocked. I'm jumping around, people. Hold on.
It's all good.
And flocking is it's a technique of hair. What you do is there's an electrostatic gun, I guess is what you'd call it. It has a basket in it, and you fill the basket with cut hair, like cut human hair. And then it has a screen that covers the top of it. And you plug it in and you ground the flocker to the whatever it is you're going to be putting hair onto. And you put layers of adhesives on it and you let it dry and you make it nice and sticky. And then you get the flocker out and it shoots the hair onto the skin. And then you use different types of hair dryer. Well, you use hair dryers, and you kind of make the design of the patterns of the hair. So like if it's going in all these different directions, you can kind of blow dry and use brushes and just kind of move it into
so cool.
The face would be done with something like that. And then we would add hair punching, which is when you take a needle. It's basically we use beading needles and we put it into like a wig making handle. And you take a beading needle, which looks like this. Here we go. And we cut the top of the needle off. So the needle looks like that. And then you cut off that arm. So then the needle looks like that. And you put the needle into a holder. So it kind of looks like a little spear going into the holder. And then you take the hair and you push the hair into the skin. And then that's punching. So we kind of that's our fine work. The finishing work is all hair punching. So at least 3-4 different techniques just for that one horse.
It's amazing.
And sculpted and all these other things.
But it makes it, it really does make it look so real because people, I think, when they watch these things, they get very concerned. And I'm like, no, it's just amazing technicians. Don't worry.
Well, that's why they have that thing at the end of the movie that says no animals were harmed. So,
right. There's barely any animals.
The human hair was harmed, but that's about it.
Oh my gosh. So when you were little, did you wanted to do with animals, but theater and stuff with what made you go into wigs at the Old Globe?
Okay. So I'll do the Cliff Notes version of my career. The beginning of my career, because I tend to be a talker. I started in college, and again, I was into Egyptology, and I was in community college, just taking classes, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I had just started, and I was 18. And I was taking all these classes, and I think I was living at my grandmother's house at the time. I moved out of my parents' house, and I wasn't quite ready to live out on my own. I lived with my grandma, and she had a huge house, so I kind of stayed at her place. And my work schedule, I was working, like I said, with the city schools as a teacher's aide, and then I was also working in a restaurant as a waitress and going to school. And my classes, my sociology class was conflicting with my it was just too heavy with amongst everything else, and I wanted to do well in it. So I basically, after about a week, decided, no, I'm gonna just can this, and I'm gonna take something else, because my school load was just too much with everything else.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm just gonna do something fun. I'm just gonna, just something different. I'm in college, it's my first year. Let's do something fun. So I closed my eyes and I opened up the catalog. I'm not kidding. And I closed my eyes and I pointed and I hit drama.
What?
And I thought, are you kidding me? There's no way. I mean, I grew up really shy. So for me to, which is hard to believe because I'm a chatterbox once you so I thought there were 3 classes available. There was the acting class, there was a costume making class, and there was a theatrical makeup class. And I grew up in the 80s with Michael Jackson and Thriller. So when I was in high school, Thriller was, that was the bomb. And everyone was running home from school to watch Thriller and then to watch the making of Thriller. And then you had like The Thing came out, and there was all these amazing effects movies coming out. So that was kind of the real boom of makeup effects. And I used to run home from school and make sure I was there by 3:00 because it was on MTV. And I was always so much more interested in the behind the scenes. And so they would always show the making of, which was Rick Baker and his effects crew, and building it and showing him, doing the live cast and doing the contact lenses and everything. And I was just enthralled with it. I'm like, I want to do something like that. That's so cool. So then when I saw the theatrical makeup class was available, I thought, oh, that'd be fun. I'll do something like that. Like the Michael Jackson thing, So I did, and I loved it. I love being behind the scenes. I had no interest in being an actor. And I did take an acting class at one point and a few other dramatic classes, but no, I went right for the theater. And
it gave you an understanding of what they're doing, but you're like, I'll just.
Yeah. And then my teacher, I did really well in the classes, which is interesting considering I'm not not like a painter, or I can't draw at all. So the thought that I could actually do well as a makeup artist was kind of interesting to me. So I started volunteering at the local community theaters, and I started getting jobs. And this is so distracting. I'm gonna look directly at you instead of the camera, because I'm trying to go back and forth, and it's messing me up.
Oh, I do both. No, if I look at the camera, okay. I'm looking at you. But if I look at you, I'm like looking down.
I'm just going to look at you. So anyway, so I took the classes. I started volunteering in community theater, and I loved it. And I just progressed. And I ended up realizing that I wanted to work in theater. I wanted to learn wigs because I wanted to work behind the scenes with the actors. And at that time, especially when I was doing musical theater, the actors were doing their own makeup. And they didn't really need a makeup artist. So that's when I learned, okay, well, if I want to have a career in this, I need to become a wig maker. And at the time, the Old Globe Theater had a wig making school, but it was closing down. And I kept bugging him and calling. And they're like, no, we're closing the school down. And I'm like, please, there's got to be something I could do. They said, well, check out the wig making school up in San Francisco. And I can't remember the name of that school, but it was associated with the San Francisco Opera.
Okay.
I took a road trip up to San Francisco, and I thought, there's no way that I could make a living and go to the school and do all of this at the same time. I need to stay in San Diego. So I kept bugging the Old Globe until finally my eventual teacher said, okay, I'll teach you. Whatever you want to do. So I had already learned just how to tie hair from the La Jolla Playhouse wig maker. I had gone there, ironically, on a tour when I was working with the city schools. And I saw this guy making wigs. And I said, that's what I want to do. And I asked him to teach me how to tie hair. And he did. And I went away to a camp, a dramatics camp that summer called Camp Balabé. and I was a camp counselor, and it was just a theater camp. And so I was like the makeup and hair person who helped provide all this stuff for the kids. And I just practiced tying all summer, making these crappy little mustaches and beards and eyebrows, and just for the kids, to do these plays. And it was fun, and I got a little bit of training. And then I went back in the fall, and Frank hired me at the Old Globe. Well, I should say he brought me on as an intern. And so I was an intern for a few months, then got in as an apprentice. And then by that summer, the next year, I was working at the Old Globe. I had quit my job as a waitress. I quit my job at the city schools, and I was working full time at the Old Globe Theater. And
That's so fun.
Yeah, and then I did all the theater in San Diego. I did La Jolla Playhouse, the Opera, the San Diego Rep, Lamb's Players. I did all kinds of it. And then I just wanted to get out of San Diego because I had never really gone anywhere. And I've always been a travel lover. So I took a job in Boston at the Huntington Theater. And I worked there and at the Boston Ballet and at the American Repertory Theater for about 6 months. And I could not take the cold.
I was just about to ask you about that weather going from San Diego to Boston.
So bone chilling because the cold, the snow comes right off the ocean, or the cold air comes off the ocean, I should say. So it just goes right into your soul. And I just wanted to die. I was like, get me out of this miserable, snow-filled, awful place. I hate it. I don't know how people live here. San Diego, I'm such a baby.
You're like, I need the perfect, because California has the perfect weather. So you're like, I need that.
Right. Where's the 76 degrees? Come on,
Wear a sweater at night. But you went overseas to study. I was reading you won a Guthrie Award. Tyrone Guthrie.
I went to Canada. Yeah. So basically I did 4 years in San Diego and in Boston. And then I was working, I had gone back to the Globe after leaving Boston that summer. And I met this costume designer from New York City, and he had just returned from Stratford, Ontario. And he was telling us about this incredible theater at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival. And in Canada, I believe the theater there is government funded. So instead of it being nonprofit, so they have more money to put into their costumes and into the sets. And,
nice.
So yeah, so needless to say, their wigs were gorgeous, and they all were practically film quality. And I remember saying to him, I really want to try and get a job at this place. So he said, well, send your resume and send your portfolio or some pictures and see what happens. And I did. And unbeknownst to me, he had been very good friends with the wig master up there. And he got me the job.
See.
And next thing I know, and I, for the rest of my life, will be thankful to him for doing that. But anyway, so I got a job in Canada at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, and the wig makers there, I believe, are BBC trained.
That would, yeah.
So their wig making is much more tailored and much more fine tuned. Also, they have 3 theaters there. 2 of them are thrust stages where the stage goes out into the audience. And then one of them is a proscenium stage where you look up to the actors. So because they had 2 thrust stages, they didn't need scenery. So all of the money goes into the costumes and they have costumers from all over the world who work there, and shoemakers and jewelry makers and hat makers. Just unbelievable theater. My mind was blown when I got up there. I couldn't believe how amazing that place was. And I had work papers. And so every year I would go in January and worked until basically around Thanksgiving. And then in my contract, they would fly me back to San Diego for the holidays. And then I would do the whole thing the next year and start a whole new season. And I did that for 4 years. And I learned so much. Oh my God. They put me on the worst jobs. They had, this theater was started in Stratford, but what had happened is Sir Tyrone Guthrie from the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, he had gone to this part of Ontario. And I guess he thought, wow, this is amazing. The whole town was basically named, all the names of the streets and everything is all based on Shakespeare. So they said, you should have a Shakespearean theater here. And so that's what they did. They erected one in the 50s. And then again, now there's 3 big stages there, and it's phenomenal. And so what you're talking about, the Guthrie Award that I got, I was there my first year. And there's one day a year where all of the actors and the behind the scenes people donate their fee for the day, and it all goes into this pool. And then you can apply for an award, you can nominate someone for an award, whatever. And they have this one night where everyone, if you've entered or you just want to go to this thing, people win money. And you win money to do things, and it's all about educating yourself and furthering your career and furthering your education and being the best kind of artist that you can be. And they're trying to help you. So that's what this is. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that
it's so amazing?
It's such a great place. I really loved working up there. I mean, if anyone ever gets an opportunity to work at the Stratford Festival, you take that opportunity.
Do it.
Yeah, because it's incredible. I don't even see. I think about this and I'm like, my God, I was able to do all of that, and then I worked in Hollywood. So there you go.
I know. That's why I'm so excited to talk to you. Hello. Your career is amazing. It's just really so wonderful, and that you're nice on top of it. It's like
it's just I've been so lucky, and a lot of it is it's just I'm thankful to God and thankful to everyone who's helped me, because someone has helped me along the way with every step.
So I think it's our job, right? If you have an opportunity to help somebody that you see potential in, that little tiny pay it forward. Look what happens. The ripple is so amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I think it makes everybody feel better, and it helps just lift someone up just a little bit. And you can't be insecure about that kind of thing, because you have to pay it forward. It's good for your soul. It's good for another human being. It's just human kindness. And we need so much more of that right now. I mean,
is that the truth?
Right? I was just watching a thing this morning on CBS this morning. It was on, I'm trying to think of the name of the actress who was married to Sean Penn, who was in The Princess Bride.
Oh, Robin Wright.
Right. And she just did a movie. She directed a movie and stars in it. And it's about kindness. And I think that's
awesome. About the penguin or the bird, or
no, I think it's called Land. And she's directing. And she goes off into the mountains and tries to changes her life. But it's all about, paying it forward and being a good human being. And you have to, it's good to we need more of that. We need more of that. And
there's a quote that I have hung up in the studio and just in my life, and it's the work hard and be nice to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple, really.
And they say that it takes so much more energy to be cruel and nasty than it does to be nice. And I work with all kinds of people in this industry, and in my career I've worked with all kinds. And the people who are kind, ultimately, I mean, they progress.
Right? You get to see them. It's interesting to look back, right? And see like where you all kind of were, and then where you are now, and who kind of fell out of the way. And
everything.
Did I read that you did go study period hair?
I did. So that was what I did when I won that Guthrie Award. So
that's where you went.
Yeah. So my first year there, I applied for a Guthrie Award, and I think I applied for, I think it was $1,200 or something like that. I was dirt poor. I mean, this was dirt poor in the early 90s. So, and I was working in theater. I don't even know what I was making, but anyone who works in theater, it isn't much. Sadly. But it's a wonderful experience. You just don't get paid well. So I was working at the theater, and I applied for this award because I was doing so much period hair at the time, and I was learning wig dressing, and I was going through and trying to study, the different period hairstyles. And I had nothing but these kind of crappy images in these old books. And I thought, I need to go see the paintings. I need to go to Europe and see and get some historical books and some costume books and all of the stuff of the time periods, and go to these art galleries and study. And so that's what I did.
How do I do this? What did their hair actually look like? I
needed to look at the structures of their hair and just kind of see different time periods and how the hair evolved. Because I was going by the Corson book, which was great.
Mhm.
But, you know, if you've seen the Corson book, it's black and white, and it's just like a little hand drawing
But-
sort of thing, and that wasn't enough for me. So I won this award. I got to go over to England, and I was there for, I think I was about 2 weeks, and I had a friend over in Birmingham, and I stayed with her briefly, and I went to Paris and I went to London, and that's all I did is I just went to the museums every single day, and I bought a bunch of books, and then I carried all those books. I still have them. Yeah, stupid.
I love that. No, keep
I bought
them.
these books, you know, because I went all the way to England and France to get these amazing books, and the last thing I'm going to do is part with them and just give them to Goodwill. But I know you can get everything point and click now, but
No, but look what happened here in Houston. We had this huge freeze. Nobody had access to anything for like a week, and everybody made fun of me because I keep all of my DVDs. And guess who watched only DVDs for the last 7 days?
there's
Books.
something about a real book, I tell you.
So I feel your pain. I got one book when I was in Paris. It was a costume book, and it was so huge. But I was like, I have to have this.
I have one too from Paris, and it's all in French.
Yep, mine too.
Does it have Marie Antoinette on the front?
No, it's a costume book about one of the theaters there, the Comédie Française.
Oh.
And yeah, it's so heavy. And my friend was like, "You're not bringing that back." I was like, "I'm bringing this back. I'm going to pay for it probably, but I'm bringing it back."
Oh my God, I did the same thing. And you know what? When I was also, I took advantage of just being young and stupid at the time, basically. But I just took advantage of the fact of where I was working at the time when I was in Paris, and I went to the Paris Opera House and I knocked on the door, and there was nothing happening at the time. It was probably like 2 or 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And I didn't speak any French at all. And I managed to get the security guard. See, being a girl, use your assets. Got to use those assets when you need them. So use your assets. And the security guard got me down into the wig room. The wig makers were there, and they're looking at me like, who is this person? What is she doing? Why is she here? And I managed to meet the wig makers at the Paris Opera House while I was on that trip, and somehow got it explained who I was, where I was from, and that I just wanted to meet them and see their work. And they were so sweet to me. I don't even know who they were. To this day, I have no idea who they were, but they were really nice to me.
I bet we could find out now with the internet and look and see like who was working there during those years. I bet you.
Oh, there's that internet thing. Sure, let's try that.
Can look up on the Google.
Exactly. So anyway, I was in Stratford for 4 years, and then after 8 years of doing theater, I had had enough. And what I had enough of was the work schedule. The 7 days a week, 6 days a week, Mondays off was just, I had missed so many family events and birthdays and just having a normal life. And getting off work at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night after, setting the wigs and leaving and cleaning them. And,
yeah,
you don't go to bed until 2 a.m. because you're so wound up when you get home. You just want to go to a pub, or you want to hang out with your friends for a little bit and then, or go home and watch TV. So I can't take that schedule. It was too much for me. So at that point, I felt like I had had enough confidence, or at least enough to get started in Hollywood, because I didn't want to go to Hollywood without really understanding wigs.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing is the Stratford Festival, because they started in the 50s, they had a wall with these large drawers just full of wigs. And it was amazing. And I was working on wigs that some of them were, I don't know, at least 20 years old, 30 years old. And they repurposed their wigs. And then they also built new wigs. So that was the best education I could have had, because some of these wigs were just falling apart and I had to make them look good. So that was, I got all the crap work because I was the new kid on the block and I was the American, I don't know if it was so much that I was the American. It was just, I was the new kid on the block.
Little do you know at the time that that kind of having to be scrappy and crafty will serve you so well.
Well, it was the best thing that they could have ever done for me. And they were such great wig makers there, and they taught me how to tear apart wigs and not be afraid of it, and take the oldest, nastiest thing and make it into something beautiful. And I use those techniques every single day.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, those it's a priceless education. To me, that was me going to college because I never finished college. So to me, going to Canada for 4 years and learning how to tear apart wigs and learning how to dress wigs and learning how to run shows and work with actors and know what to say, what
Logistics.
not to say, how to stand back, let the actor have their moment, all of that sort of thing. That was my education. And then by the time I came to Hollywood, it was no brainers. And also growing up with my father being a commander of the bomb squad and coming from like a police family and nurses and teachers in my family, I'm not fazed by actors. And I know people are, and they get really nervous and giddy, and they just get all weird. Stop, come on, just normal people.
Stop.
Blow their nose, they sleep, they watch TV, they have, they're just normal people, everybody. And I'm always surprised that people get so freaked out over actors. I just don't understand that when you, like I said, because I came from people who actually saved lives for a living. And, my dad would, he would have to de-arm bombs. And my stepmother was a marshal, and she would, escort prisoners on a
Good Lord.
cities. I mean, so to me, these are amazing people who do what they do. And actors are amazing too, though, at the same time, in that I'm not trying to diss actors at all, because what they go through and is difficult, and the production is based on what they're doing, and they're in the focus. So I am a big supporter of.
But the starstruckness is not. It's
but
not.
the whole Star Trek, starstruck thing is. I don't get that. And a lot of people have said, like, well, what are people like? What's Johnny Depp like? And and I'm like, just regular guy going to work. He just shows up in a limo. But they're nice people. So I guess it all depends on how communicative they are with us, and some of them are a lot more chatty and conversational, and some people become your friends actually, and some people, and then a lot of them don't. You go from you're gypsy, and you go from one project to the next.
Now, were there different designers and artists that kind of in the beginning made you, like, let's say when you first started working on Pirates and you were doing contact lenses for Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Right.
But like V. Neal is on there as the makeup artist, and she's like at the helm of all of these amazing films from the 80s and all of that special effects and stuff. And how was that?
Oh, it was incredible. And then on top of that, she had an amazing crew of incredible talent. I mean, that was top of the scale talent on that show. And it ran like a machine. And I saw some amazing work, amazing. And I did a little bit of hair work on that, actually, not too much. I did the beard for Keith Richards.
Oh, awesome.
Which I think it originally was supposed to be a stunt beard or something like that, or a photo double beard or something for Johnny or something. And then they needed one, and they had that one, and it fit, and they ended up putting it on Keith Richards. So talk about an honor, an unexpected honor. You're like, wow, that was, and he was a trip. I mean, he was what an interesting guy. And just so mellow and cool. And I remember I was coming off stage. I had to go back to base camp because I had to get a couple of actors out of their contact lenses. And just so you know, so like all the leads had contact lenses. So we had Johnny would wear like a sunglass contact lens so that he's not squinting all the time. And he wears these all the time when he's working outside. And a
sunglass contact lens.
He's got brown eyes, and then we would put a contact lens that's like a darker brown on top of his eye, and so it makes his eyesight like a sepia tone. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
But then he's not squinting. And baseball players actually wear them too. They wear sunglass contact lenses. Yeah.
Well, I kind of want those for real life.
Yeah. I mean, it's smart. It's very
so smart.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, Johnny would wear basically like the sunglass contact lens, and then some of the other leads also wore those type of things whenever, because we were in the sun all day long. I mean, you have to, when we're on those ships, you go out on the boat at 9:30 in the morning, and you come back at 6:30, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and you're just exposed all day. Because once you go out there, you're out there. You weren't really associated. Sorry about that. Turn that off. Now everyone wants to talk to me. So a lot of people would wear those, and whenever you're wearing contact lenses, I have to be there. So if the lenses are in the eyes, I have to be wherever the actors are. So Orlando wore his once in a while. Johnny wore his all the time. So I was mostly with Johnny, and then I would also take care of Reggie Lee, Mackenzie Crook, who had the fake eye. He had 2 large scleral contact lenses piggybacked in one eye. And then he had another large scleral contact lens, which a scleral completely covers your eye on the other eye. And so he and Lee also, they wore these large lenses, and the look was like a jaundice look. So, and then Jeffrey Rush had the same thing, like a jaundice and then veiny eyes. So if you look at the film again, if you look at it again and they show close-ups of the actor, take a look at their eyes, because they're meant to look kind of yellowy. And
they do.
Yeah, that's contact lenses.
And I think this is a really kind of important point to tell people is like, so many times when you're watching film and you see, like they have like people being beat up and they have blood in their eye, any of those types of things, if you do a quick query on Google and it'll be like, what blood can I put in my eye for a special effect? And it's like, no, but all of that stuff is contact lenses that you need a technician for on set, which is what you do.
Yeah, you can get bloodshot contact lenses. And there was a time period from, I'm trying to think of when I started doing lenses in 2002 or 2001, right around there. And oh gosh, it's 2020. Oh my gosh, I've been doing it 20 years. Wow, time flies. There was a time there when I was working half the year doing hair for all the, like running all around from one studio to the next or working at home. And then the other part of the year, it seemed like I was on set doing contact lenses. So like my first film was where I was a full-time contact lens tech was Memoirs of a Geisha. Oh, right. I know.
That movie is so beautiful.
I just watched it last night. I hadn't seen it in years.
Every frame is like a painting.
You're absolutely right. And Rob Marshall was an amazing director. And I got to work with the lead actress, Z Zhang.
She's so beautiful.
Oh, she's luminously beautiful, and lovely. Just a lovely girl. In the beginning of that movie, she could barely speak English. And by the end of the movie, she was very verbal, very
interesting.
Yeah, her English was great, considering where she started. Most of the actors on that show didn't speak English.
Interesting.
But the one thing that I had noticed last night is there was one character, she almost sounds a little bit drunk. And it's because of the language barrier, and that she was Japanese and she's never spoke, she's learning her lines for the movie. So she doesn't really know how to pronounce them exactly. Unless
the cadence isn't there.
Exactly. So I started off doing some lenses for a while, and then hair. And then eventually I got hired at Legacy in 2011. And this will be my 10 years at Halloween this year.
At Halloween?
Yeah. Halloween. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. I'll just send you some black roses for.
Yes, thank you. I would love that.
For your anniversary. Do you remember what your first feature film was doing wigs, like, and that feeling? Do you ever kind of think about that?
Well, the first movie I ever did hair work for was Congo. So,
Congo?
Yeah, that was my first my first job in Hollywood.
That was scary.
Well, let me tell a story on that. I was in Canada, and I knew that I was going to leave. And I think it was like the fall of Canada that year of 1993. And I moved to Los Angeles in 1994, right when the earthquake hit, the big earthquake. Yeah. So a few months ahead of time, in the fall of 93, I just started sending resumes out. Because I thought, well, I'm going to move there in January. At the time, you could get a makeup effects book that in the back of the books, you would, or sometimes even in Fangoria and some of these magazines, I think it was Fangoria, you could get addresses to makeup effects studios. And pre-internet, of course, the internet wasn't around yet because this was 1994. So I had some makeup magazine or book or something, and I found all these addresses, and I just started sending resumes out. And just getting some kind of a conversation like, hey, hello, I'm moving to town. I'm a wig maker, you know.
I'm coming.
Job, you know. So I started doing that, and then I got a call from Stuart Artingstall in December, and he did the Dracula wig. Yeah, the Gary Oldman Dracula wig. Oh yeah, the one that's in the Smithsonian. Mm-hmm. So he calls me. Talk about, I mean, losing.
I would have freaked out.
I was basically kind of like losing my mind. Oh my God, Stuart Artingstall just called me, and he said, I have possibly some work in January. When are you going to move here? And I said, yeah, I'm moving in beginning of January, and I'll be there, and I can work for you if you need some help. I said, but I had promised to do a couple of days at the LA Opera. So I moved to LA. I did a couple of days at the LA Opera, and then the earthquake hit, the big Northridge earthquake. And I was in San Diego. I remember it was Martin Luther King Day, and everyone's calling me, saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm in San Diego, actually. I'm okay."
Oh my gosh.
I had to go back, and the freeways were a disaster. And I went to my apartment. All my food was thrown onto the floor, and everything was just thrown into the middle of the room. It was a nightmare. Anyway, so I started on Congo, and a few weeks later, and then 2 months later, we started making these gorillas. And 2 months later, Stan Winston, who gave me my job, won the Oscar for Jurassic Park.
No.
Guess what?
We watched this weekend.
4. So that means, I was working at a really great shop, and when I walked in there, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew who Stan Winston was, but I didn't really understand the scope of Stan Winston. I mean, because I was a big Rick Baker fan, so I didn't understand really who Stan was until, of course, I started working for him, and I'm like, oh, so you did the dinosaurs. Oh, you did. I was there when I Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, that's what I was just about to ask you
I
about.
used to go to the screening of that, and my current bosses worked on that, and so it was amazing.
In that movie, the veining that they do on them is so so delicate, and
contact lenses too. That's the first time I ever met a contact lens technician. Her name was Joanna.
That's really cool, because those contacts in Interview the Vampire, I mean, now they're so replicated. I mean, even when you buy them, you can buy like a Lestat eye or a Louis, because just the way that they were painted was so beautiful.
Yeah, and we'll talk about a field that is incredible, and there's very few people who do it, and those who do it are phenomenal artists. And the reason I know this is because one of my very best friends, Christina Patterson, she's like the top contact lens painter in the world. If you can imagine something that looks really cool and amazing on film that's a contact lens, she's done it. Most likely she's done it. And she there's a painting right behind me. Hold on. Of hers that you can see the detail. Look at this.
Whoa. The mer people.
Oh my God, I'm all crooked. I look like I'm drunk. Hold on.
It's like mermaids and mermen, and
yeah, this is her work.
Whoa.
The amount of tedious work and this is just what she does for fun. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's a lot of detail.
Yeah, she knows I like mermaids and lighthouses and all that.
Wow.
She's a phenomenal artist. Let me put this back on the wall.
Yeah, the whole contact lens world is so fascinating, because like, if you have to have the contact lenses for, let's say, Johnny Depp, which I don't know if he has wears glasses and has a prescription. Yeah. So then you have a specialty lens that also has a prescription in it.
Yes. Or you can also piggyback the contact lenses. Yeah, they can wear their lenses and then put another colored contact lens on top of it, but they tend to stick a little bit. So it's easier to get a prescription contact lens.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's a whole other world. It
It
really
is.
other world, the whole other conversation. You should get Christina.
Yeah, you should definitely. Christina, if you're watching, we should chit chat because I'm fascinated.
And talk about an interesting career path. And her mother was a really well-known makeup artist on, I think, Happy Days and Bionic Woman. Like like all of those 1970s shows that we grew up with, her mom was doing all that. I think she was doing makeup on that. And so that's how she got into it. She had started off as a makeup artist. And then
I always remember makeup on like Wonder Woman, and because I just thought she was so beautiful.
Right.
And on Knots Landing,
oh yeah,
the villain, Morgan Fairchild.
Mm-hmm.
I love her makeup. Even now, when I look back at it, I have like a visceral reaction to her makeup because as a little Meggie, I was like, oh, she's so pretty. I didn't know like she was the biatch of the group. I just thought she was so beautiful.
Well, hence why I don't wear much makeup right now is because I grew up in the 80s. So that was my high school years. And we were just caking it on. I mean, and you'd wake up the next morning and your face would be all broken out. And so now, and then the 90s came and the grunge. Yeah, and that was awesome because everyone was like very little makeup, very simple. And I thought, thank God, because I was just painting on all of this makeup every day. It was so bad for my skin.
There's no makeup and just like red matte lipstick.
Yep, red matte, the Sade look. You know, the drawing and like gold, and not gold, but like tan and gold on your eyelids, and just mascara and big red lips. You know?
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I mean, the 90s was when I was a teenager, and it was fun. It was a good fashion, and it went through so many changes between 1990 and 1999. There was like,
oh yeah,
15 different subgenres you could be. I was never a goth girl, shocker, but
yeah,
I'm okay with it.
Goth kids at the shop. This goth makeup effects as a perfect marriage right there. I mean, we have so many goth kids. It's crazy, and they're such sweethearts. I mean, and they're all tattooed up and they're all wearing black and they got the nose rings and the ear, you know, the huge, you know, gauge ear things. And the latest thing, it seems, is like shaving part of their brow.
Oh,
I guess that's a thing. Or I'm just old. I don't know. But
and then they're sweethearts. Absolutely.
They're sweethearts. They're just nice, really good kids. So I don't know why people give goth kids.
They get a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have a bad rap because they're incredible artists and nice kids.
What contacts did you do on Inception?
Leo DiCaprio. I worked with him on that movie in the very, I think it was the very first day, and then like right at the end of the movie. I only worked with him probably 2 days, the whole time, 2 or 3 days at the most, if I remember. And that was talk about a stressful film.
I think that in interviews they don't even know what was happening in that movie.
Yeah, it was a Christopher Nolan film, and it was a little intense. It was a little intense, that film. And that was the first time I had worked with Leo, and I had worked with him a second time on J. Edgar, and his personality was very different on J. Edgar. He was much more, even though he was under all the heavy makeup and stuff, and he was still a lot lighter in personality than he was on Inception. I think just the whole experience was a lot, you know, to take in and what they were trying to achieve. And, you know, whereas J. Edgar was him replicating a real person. And I remember going into his makeup trailer and he'd be watching things like Guys and Dolls, and he'd always watch all these classic films. He was a real history buff. And just
I love that.
It was sweetheart, really a nice guy.
Is there a period that you love more to work on? I mean, I know a lot of the stuff that you work on tends to be, it's just kind of all over the place, really. But if you could pick, like they were going to do a film or a play, what is a period that you are like, yes?
Oh gosh, that's a difficult question. You know what? I'm going to go with something completely different and say I would love to see more Egyptian stuff.
Oh, actually, I think this is a very interesting answer because
I haven't seen Egyptian stuff since Cleopatra.
Well, and how much actual historically accurate Egyptian stuff have we seen? Not very much. And I just did this webinar on like the history of makeup and hair and wigs, and going all the way back and looking at some of the pieces that they found and trying to decipher like what is it actually made of, or the sculptures. There's the one, it was in France, and it's like, is it a hairnet? Is it a hat that they've created, or was it hair that was plaited? And there's no way to know. So I think I like this answer. I think this would be very fascinating.
Well, and guess what? I got to go. There's that new. I don't know the name of it. It's this new museum that they were supposed to open in October of last year, and I think they're going to be opening this year. It's all Hollywood artifacts and of all the films, and they're creating this huge.
Yeah.
They're building down in LA near USC.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to go to the archive building.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I got
to freak out. Was it awesome?
Oh, you have no idea. So I made something for the Jim Henson Company, which I'm not going to say because I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. So let's just say I made something to go on one of their displays in this museum. So I got to go down to this place to deliver it and meet the people there. And wow, talk about an amazing place. I got to see Elizabeth Taylor's Cleopatra wigs. Oh yeah, so they're basically, this museum is all Hollywood artifacts for all these years of history of film and
oh my god,
television. I think it's all film.
I think Tom Hanks is behind that museum.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it. For some reason, I'm having brain fog, probably because I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night. But yeah, I don't know the name of it. But yeah, it's the one that was supposed to be opening in October, and I just can't think of the name of it. But anyway, that museum, it was amazing. And it was literally these huge, how do I explain this? Almost like wall-size filing cabinets, but not cabinets, but it's aisles that they could actually move, slide.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that kind of thing?
They have them in different archives, and they crank it, and so then it opens up, and then you can go and just so they can fit more stuff.
Exactly. And so I got to go in, and I just got to kind of sneak in and see a few things. And this girl was so sweet to me. She was so nice because she's like, "Oh, you made this wig? Let me show you something." And then she brought me showed me the Cleopatra wig, and I almost lost my mind. I'm like, "Can I take this home? I just want to take it home. Please let me take it home." No,
I'm like freaking out that you got to go see this.
It was such an honor. It was such an honor to see that stuff.
Have you ever gone to the Academy's library?
No, I haven't.
So you can go, people listening, when I worked on my thesis, because I think you'll really appreciate this, you can go and request to see things from their special collections. And so when I was working on my thesis, I have like the budgets for Casablanca and the memos and stuff for Ben-Hur and things like that. Like you can request all of these things, but then they also had like wiglets and things from the 1920s, and they're in like the most immaculate shape you've ever seen. I was stunned.
Stuff. That's the thing. Oh my God. So yeah, this was just aisles and aisles and I only was on one level. And I only went into one room, and it had all of these aisles of all of these huge, tall aisles with all these. You walk down one thing and you're like, oh my God, that's something from the Blob.
Oh my God.
There's all different kinds of things. I think I got to see a Willy Wonka costume, and it's just mind blowing. So
can I stay here? Can I just hang out here for the day?
For this place to open when it opens. I feel so stupid because I don't know the name of it.
I'll look it up and then I'll figure out what it is and put it in the little caption-y thing.
It's not like that. No, it's not the Hollywood Museum. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, it has.
What the coolest part is you actually are a part of that museum because of the different films and stuff you've worked on. There's you're a part of that history. Isn't that amazing?
I think, yeah. I mean, at least I got to do that one thing for Henson's. I don't know what else that I did that may be in there, but who knows?
But I mean, in like a very general sense, like, you know, just looking at your, you know, looking at your filmography and stuff and your CV, it's like these are definitely movies that people hold with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Like that is an iconic film, you know. Memoirs of a Geisha. That was sometimes the first introduction that people had to that culture. And you know, the Mandalorian. Oh my gosh, my nephew alone he can go on and on. He's 9, he's 8. He could go on and on about his love of this movie. So I just think it's very cool that you didn't even know that's what you were going to set out to do, and now look.
Yeah, not at all. I've been so lucky and worked very, very hard. But I just look at every day that I get to get out of bed and go to work in makeup effects as a blessing. That is really is. I love my job. I love the people I work for. I love all the projects, most of the projects. Some of them make me cry. But I think that's with everybody. Some of these jobs you're just so afraid of. But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I had this very important thing I had to work on last week, which shall not be named. And my boss was saying to me, "Oh, it's going to look great, Connie. It's going to look great." And my ex-husband, my husband calling him, husband, future ex-husband. And he says, "You're going to do a great job." And I just like, "Oh, I'm nervous. But I think he finally understands after me being there for 10 years now that my nervousness is actually a good thing, because that means I'm going to give it everything that I've got, my blood, sweat, and tears. And that's another thing, is I have these weird little omen things. I don't know if other wig makers are like this too, but it's almost like if I don't accidentally cut myself or bleed on it to a certain degree, then it's like it's not going to be good enough. And there's many projects where I will accidentally cut myself and I'll say, "Oh, okay, good. This is good. That means it's going to be good."
I feel like if I don't have at least one mess up in the either styling or creation to where I'm like, well, that's just ruined, I can't go forward. And then, you know, you go take a break and come back and you're like, okay, and maybe I overreacted. I feel like if that doesn't happen, or I have a favorite hook.
Yeah.
And when it breaks, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, man, I don't know if you saw on my Instagram recently that I stabbed myself with one of my favorite knotting hooks. That was so. Yeah, I'm making wigs I'm 54. I've been making wigs since I was 20, so 34 years. And I finally stabbed myself with my wig making hook, and it's so typical. And I was making Grinch hands on top of it all for a McDonald's commercial. So I was prepping to make them that weekend, and we were racing around on this other project. It might have been the John Travolta thing. I'm not sure if it was that.
Oh yeah, everybody see the John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson Christmas commercial, and yours truly, Miss Connie, made the.
I worked on the wigs hair. Yeah, but we had a team of people. It was Michael Ornalis, Aida Kafer, my friend Sharon Bendu-Fink. She did some eyebrows for us, but we ended up not using them. We ended up using a different pair. And then I worked on the wig. And the wig was beautiful. The wig was actually a Cal East wig. And I refronted it, and I added some different low lights to it. And I just added a lot of stuff, hair throughout it, and then I thinned it out, and I changed it a lot. But the base of it was a Cal East wig. We use a lot of store-bought wigs from time to time when we have these commercials, because there's just no time.
Yeah.
To make a wig from scratch. You have, sometimes I have a day, if that, to do something. Or most of the time it's about a week or 2 weeks.
So question for you about that particular process is, you have John Travolta coming in, you have to make a wig for him, you have like no turnaround, right? Do you already have a block for him with his bubble? Like, are you just guessing how does that work?
We didn't have his head. And what we ended up doing with that one in particular, which was a rarity for us, usually we'll have our digital people they have this digital scanning gun, and take their computers and like, I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl. We did that Timothy Chalamet, Edgar Scissorhands commercial with
Oh,
him.
you guys did that. It was so great.
Yeah, we did that. So I went down to Hollywood. He was staying at one of these really old, cool hotels. And we took our friend, my coworker, Jim Sharmans, takes the digital scanner. And so he can digitally scan Timothy, and then they can print up a head off of that. But I was also there to get his head measurements and do a head tracing and all of that, because I was going to give him a wig. And I actually went and got a wig and I refronted it and the whole thing, the whole process, because we weren't sure if he was going to want to use his hair. And he ended up using his hair, and they ended up adding some little extra pieces. So my wig got shelved. But we did the scissors on his hands, and we did the whole gloves and everything. But we didn't do a costume. I think the costume was made somewhere else. But usually, if the actor can't come in, then, like I said, we'll either have someone on location send me a tracing and send me his measurements, or sometimes we have a head cast done wherever they're at, sometimes Toronto, and then they send it to us. Or vice versa. There's some stuff that we've done for some people from a different country, and we'll do stuff for them and send them that. But I get head casts of the, or I should get, let me back up. I get a head form made out of foam, a harder foam, and I get the actual head of the actor, meaning the head cast of the actor. So I get to work. It's about as perfect as you're going to get it. You know what I mean? I don't really have to use canvas wig blocks or old-fashioned wooden wig blocks anymore.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's why everything fits, it fits beautifully.
There's no woodiness.
Yeah. It's not like in theater where you have to have multiple fittings and have the actor come out, because there's no time. So, most of the time we do these commercials, and like with the John Travolta thing. So let me back up. So with the John Travolta thing, we didn't have access to him, and so we ended up contacting another effects studio who had his head cast from Hairspray. And
wow.
Yeah, our friend Tony Gardner. So we contacted them. They sent us the mold. We ran a mold and ran a head form for me. So we ended up having his head forms, even though they were a little older. It didn't matter. I still had his head size, and we fit the wigs off of that, and then it's all a wing and a prayer, and you're like, okay, it's time to shoot. I hope it fits,
Oh, it looks so beautiful. It's amazing.
And that's the thing, is we don't always, usually it's a one-time deal, one-shot deal, where we get that one time, and then we just have to send it. So we're praying that, one, it fits, and then two, that the that the hair person or the makeup artist, whatever, puts it on properly and doesn't ruin it. Because that's another thing that I've seen in my career is, excuse me, there was one, I'm not going to say which film it is, but there was one lead actress with a wig who the makeup artist, or I should say her hairdresser, always put the wig up crooked.
Oh no.
And the actress came to us one time and said, why doesn't this wig fit? I don't understand why this wig's not fitting. And she had her head cast right there. That's as accurate as you're going to get. And a friend of mine, like the hairdresser had gone away, excuse me, and someone from our company met with the actress and shifted it.
And then it fit like a glove.
She's like, oh, there it is. And like, uh-huh. So sometimes we have to deal with that sort of thing. Or I've seen union hair people take a hot Marcel iron to the front edge of a lace wig and say that, oh, this is how I get the wig lace to lay flat, as I take a hot iron across it. Excuse me. And I went back to the studio and I told my boss, and I said, we might want to make a second wig.
You're like, just maybe.
This hair person, who is this actor's hair person, is taking a hot Marcel iron, and he knew exactly what that was because he was a makeup guy. And I said, putting it in the oven and putting it. So one, not only can it potentially burn the front lace and burn the hairline off, but it can also discolor the lace.
Yeah.
And apparently this was an old Hollywood trick that this makeup hair person was doing.
You're like, no.
And yeah, so all I can do is build the wig and send it off and pray to God that it's in good hands. And I would say 99% of the time, or 95 to 99% of the time it is, because they do train the union hair people, and the union's pretty great when it comes to that. They have classes all the time. But thank God. But that kind of stuff happens too. And then they'll blame the wig maker. They'll say, oh, this is not right. And they'll send it back to me. And I'm like, you ruined it.
You're like, well, of course, now it's not right.
Yeah, this one actor on this one famous movie, which shall remain nameless, had a complete meltdown and started throwing fronted makeup chairs in this makeup trailer, and took his wig and ripped it in half and tore his makeup off. And one of my friends had to repair that wig and had to be up all night so it could work the next day. And oh yeah, you get all kinds of weird stories of bad behavior.
Oh man,
taking their costumes and tearing them apart and eating in them, and you're just like,
right. You're like, come on, guys.
Do you know how much that wig is? I don't know if you remember in theater. I witnessed this a lot. Actors would sometimes just rip off their wig, and just throw it on the floor. And I found wigs like in shoes, and I'm looking all around the dressing room saying, where's the wig? And can't find it. And it's rolled up in a ball and part of their costume. And it's just, you're like, okay, someone actually made that wig and spent hours spending probably 40 hours making that wig, or however many hours, sometimes a month making a wig. And you're rolling it up like a ball. And that may be between a, $4,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 or whatever $1,000 wig, and treat it with a little bit more respect.
Oh yeah, we were very lucky on CAW. Our bosses and upper management were very supportive of wardrobe department, and our wardrobe supervisors were amazing. And so we touched the wigs the most of the time. Like we were like, your fingers are don't touch, never. Like we will handle it, just don't, because they would just get their fingers up in there and like trying to do stuff. And the performers, I would say 99% of the time, were respectful of that. And if there was that 1%, I think we just put the fear of God in them.
Well, you have to educate them because they don't know, especially performers, they don't know what things cost.
They're like, what? And so they were great. They dropped their wig off, and put it on, like a little turtle and all of this stuff. But there was definitely occasions where we would find a wig on the floor, and I was like, because they're like $10,000 on that show and fully custom made, and you're just like, what are you doing?
Mustaches under someone's shoe. You're like, it's okay. It only took me 2.5, 3 hours to make that. I'll stay tonight and make another one. Thank you.
That's fine.
That's awesome. Thank you for giving me that extra work.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I could literally talk to you forever. But before we go, I want to see what is it? Is there a motto or anything like that you find yourself telling yourself a lot that propels you forward, especially with this year, and it's so hard, and we all have personal things going on, plus COVID, plus work. What is it that keeps you positive and going? Some days we don't win.
Yeah. For me, it really is imperative to have people on your crew that have the same work ethic and the same, hopefully, optimism and not so self-centered and selfish, because we have so much stuff thrown at us all the time, and it really can affect your attitude if you're with selfish people and difficult people. So I think it's really important to maintain a great deal of conversation positive conversation and positive reinforcement with the people you're working with and with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's, again, I'm notoriously awful at that because I'm a crazy Virgo. You know, I'm just constantly like nitpicking everything, and I can be very difficult on myself, and I have to self-edit, and I have to start thinking about. I have to think about the big picture and think about, you know, just if you just keep your attitude good and just try to do the best work you can and be nice and positive and be nice to the people you work with. And when someone does something great, celebrate them. Absolutely celebrate your coworkers, because we all deserve to be lifted up. It shouldn't just be a one-sided glory. It should always be a team effort, and it should, everyone put their stamp on it, and everyone deserves to have their name spoken and written. And we don't always get credits. That's another thing, is that in the film industry, like, I've never been on the credits of Mandalorian. And I don't know what the deal is with that. I've been on, my bosses have been incredibly gracious to me in other ways, and including printing my name in the magazines and different things.
And on the website, you're on there for the
Mandalorian. Yeah, but I mean, there's certain, like, I don't know if the list is limited or what, but I know that I believe the first seasons, like, half the names of our shop were cut. So a lot of it, I don't know if it's financially, if it costs money to put names in credits, or I don't know what the whole deal is with the whole credit situation. But that's the thing, is you can't do it for the credits. You're doing it because this is what you enjoy doing. And for a long time, you have to kind of take your ego and put it aside, because if you're only doing it for credits and awards, you're in it for the wrong reason. Because, especially in makeup effects, because, you know, it's not everyone is going to get, not every, my husband always says, not everybody can be in the parade. You know, there has to be other people who are just sitting there watching the parade. And so,
and putting on the parade.
Putting on the parade and building the parade and building the floats and all that. And so, you know, for me, I just really enjoy the ride. I enjoy the whole, what's going to scare me today? What do I have to make today that's going to scare the bejesus out of me? But that's good, because it keeps me fresh, and it keeps me scared, and it keeps me wanting to just keep trying harder. And I always want to just learn new things. And that's another thing, is you just got to keep educating yourself and learning from everybody, and don't get stuck in your ways. You know, you hear about these people who just get to a certain point and they think that, you know, they think that their shit doesn't stink. And you can learn from everybody. You can learn from someone cleaning a toilet. You can learn from, you know, the new kid who just got out of makeup school. We're going to have all new kinds of new techniques in there that I'm not going to know about. I'm not constantly sitting on my phone looking at new makeup and hair techniques. I mean, I try to keep updated, but you know, you're going to learn something from everybody. And I think it's important to have an open mind.
Yeah.
Especially as an artist, you have to have an open mind.
Absolutely. Fear is a great motivator, though, you know?
Yeah. And it's also important to be respectful of everybody you're working with, in my case, in the shop, because everyone's got a job to do. You know, there's our bosses, and then there's the digital designers, and then there's the sculptors, and then the mold makers, and the silicone and foam runners, and the people who seam and take all the seams off, and the painters, and the animatronics people, and the fabricators, and the hair. And we all have a job to do. And it's important to be respectful of every person's job, because it's not just about you. You know what I mean? Everyone's putting their stamp on it, and everybody wants to do a good job. So I really, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it's just important to acknowledge who's around you and what they're doing, and trying to not rush people until you have to sit on them and say, I need this. I need more than 4 hours to do the hair. It needs to go out tomorrow, so please give me more than 4 hours, you know. So, you know, you don't press them unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thanks.
And
Pleasure talking with you.
Super excited to see what you have coming up next. And eventually I'll make it out to LA again at some point after the pandemic.
Well, and hopefully at that point, hopefully they'll let us do tours again and come out and visit me.
Yeah, I would love to see the shop again. It was the most outstanding thing I think I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
That was fun. All the effects shops are really cool because they all have their own style and everyone's got their own. But like I said, it's a little community of people, so everybody kind of knows everybody, and
I love it.
That's neat. I like the effects industry. It's great.
Love it. Well, you can check out Connie's work on any film really coming up, and definitely The Mandalorian season 2, and check out her IMDb for upcoming projects because she's going to update it.
Sure I am.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Sorry. I always tell people just go to Legacy Effects, go to their website and you'll see stuff.
Absolutely go to Legacy Effects website because The Shape of Water, like all of these films that are just unbelievable come out of that shop. That Iron Man and the Avengers and
we get to work on such cool stuff. Oh my God. It's fun. And then what's great about it is there's so many nice people in that shop, and everyone is still, even us, the older generation of effects people, we're all still really geeky about it. We still really love doing makeup effects, and we know that we've got great jobs and we love our jobs and we have fun jobs, and not everyone gets to have, these kind of jobs, and we know how lucky we are. So, like we're trying to pull in, even doing things like pulling in family members, like my stepson. He's working with my husband right now at the Jim Henson Creature Shop, which is great because he had tried other jobs and eventually he's like, I want to do what you guys do. So
you're like, yes, because it's awesome.
Yeah. So now we have the next generation of effects kids coming in, and the kids of the kids, and they're going to be running the shops and hopefully still hire me. Please still hire me.
I bet they will. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what my son does, being around all this stuff all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it like I'll probably keep working until my hands fall off,
I'm the same. I'll come help you and we can work together while our hands fall off and not stab us, because I have a feeling there's no retirement.
Yeah. Kids, I don't know. I'm not getting political. But I think I'll probably work until my back gives out. That's another thing that's something I probably should have said too, is like, it's important to have self-care when you're doing this kind of job, as well as I think just any job. It's important to take care of yourself and take your vitamins and get massages. If your back hurts, go get a massage. It'll make you feel 100 times better, and go for a swim and exercise, eat well, because, what you put in your body is going to reflect all over. I started doing CrossFit about 2 years ago, and it's so fantastic. It's made me emotionally strong as well as physically strong. And again, I'm 54 years old, and if I can lift weights and enjoy it and run and do all these exercises, then there's no excuse, people. Get out there and be healthy, because you'll last longer and you won't be in the hospital. And
right.
They say as you get older, you want to be healthier, and they say you don't want to look like this, which is, for people who are listening, it's my fist. You want to look more like your finger. You want to be thin, because then you have less problems health wise. So that's what I'm trying to do, just trying to stay healthy. And sorry,
same here.
Tangents. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. I love it, and I love talking with you, so I don't mind at all. Yeah, it's been almost an hour and a half. That just flew by.
Wow.
I know, right? Maybe we'll do another segment in the summer or something and catch up on like what you've done for the spring.
If I can if I can talk about it.
If you can talk about it. No, there's like 800 things in here I could ask you about. I have a whole printout. It's very fancy.
Oh, nice.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. And if anybody has any questions for Connie, just shoot me an email and I will let her know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always tell people that, like, I'm not very good at talking on the phone. And, but I'm great at, if you have any questions for me ever, you can always email me.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'll let people text me, and sometimes I'll text back if I can, but I have no problem answering any questions anytime about anything when it comes to hair. Don't ask.
That's amazing, because there's like some baby artists out there, that watch and listen to this, and
Yeah, send me an email. I don't
they
care.
just don't even know what's out there. It's amazing.
Well, when I started, there was nothing. So, I mean, there was like a couple of, I think there was maybe 3 or 4 wig schools in America. And now you can just point and click go on YouTube and see videos on it. So I'm,
Isn't that wild?
yeah. But yeah, I don't mind answering any questions. Don't ask me for a job. Because that's the one thing people are constantly asking me. Can I come work with you? I just learned how to tie 5 hairs. Can I come work with you? No. I need seasoned professionals. Because I will get that. I'll get kids like right out of makeup school, and they think that they can just call me and be like, hey, can I get a job with you? But our deadlines are so fast and fierce. I just don't have time to train people. I really don't. And I've had people ask me to teach, and I don't have time. I don't have time. I mean, I'm literally trying to get my job done and get it out the door.
But there are some seasoned professionals out there that are not working right now. So if you are interested, shoot me an email and we'll forward it on.
But yeah,
iron.
And if they're looking for set work, call the union. Don't call me, because I don't go to
it's
set.
a very different thing.
Don't go to set. So don't ask me for jobs to go to sets. And but yeah, I mean, even if you're just like some wig person out there, or someone has questions, about how to do something, or just to have me look at your work and critique it. I am a harsh critic, but it's good, because it's good to get a harsh opinion, because then you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be brutally honest and tell you how I feel, but I'll also try and lift you up at the same time.
Hold on, something is happening. The school is right by a fire station. So they're on their way somewhere. Oh, all right. Well, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and thank you so much for joining me today on Behind the Biz, my little baby.
This was fun.
I'll talk to you soon.
Before you hang up, I just want to say to those, whatever wig makers that are sitting out there in like some dark little hole somewhere tying hair and listening to this, you're awesome. I just want to tell you, you're awesome.
That's true.
Because we've all been there and we've all done that, and I'm thinking about you guys, and you're awesome.
Aww. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye. We'll see you.
Thank you for joining us today on Behind the Biz, Conversations with Artists in Entertainment. You can also check out this episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. See you next time.